This video is going to be called Proof That Evolution is Fake, and I'm talking about the type of evolutionary biology they teach in the high schools, the colleges, and the grad schools. It's a lie, and I say this based on extensive experience. I majored in evolutionary biology at Stanford, A+ student in the subject. I've read extensively about it since that time, and I'm telling you they're lying to you, and there's a reason why they're lying to you. They're lying to you because they want to bump you off. Okay, that's a true statement. They first of all have to degrade you. Think about it. Whenever a country wants to go to war, what do? They always say the person they want to go after is a homicidal maniac, and we must go after them to preempt what they're going to do to us, okay? And then they go and they kick their butt and they steal their stuff, okay? That's how you rip somebody off. But in order to get everybody on your side, to enable you to go conquer your neighbor, you have to first of all say that he's an evil villain, okay? You have to turn everyone against them. You have to dehumanize them. So what's happening is with atheistic Darwinism, they're dehumanizing everybody. The reason why it was so popular with England was at that time it ruled the world, and it gave it an excuse to say it deserved to rule the world and subjugate everybody. Like, you know, my father was Irish, okay? Make the Irish into slaves, as they were for over 1,000 years, okay? And also, this is pretty standard stuff here. So what I'm trying to tell you is there is something real about evolution, and that is the concept of microevolution, like a variety of different types of dogs, different types of horses and cats, okay? That is a real thing, and Darwinism is a reasonable explanation of that, okay? But that's not what matters. No one cares about microevolution. But they take something real, microevolution, and try to pretend it's macroevolution, and it's not. Macroevolution is the origin of life. Macroevolution is the origin of different body types, of different phyla, of different types of animals. Okay, and I'm going to just, help you start to get why evolution is fake, so that when you're challenged on it, you can stand up for yourself and win the argument. The reason why they're so dogmatic about it in the schools is because they teach it as a religion, not as science, okay? If a college professor or a high school professor talks about intelligent design, they get fired, okay? And so that's because they're trying to protect something. This is all funded by the billionaire perverts, okay? So here's a couple ways to help you understand it. First of all, this is the one I got from John Lennox. He says, basically, if you go to the beach and you see your name written in the sand, you know that some person wrote your name, an intelligent person who's literate, knows how to write in your language. Okay? The ocean's not going to write your name in the sand. It has to be somebody who knows how to read, knows how to write. Okay? So the human genome is 3.3 billion base pairs, B as in billion base pairs, of genetic code of DNA bases. That's a bazillion times more complex than writing your name in the sand. How could that happen by accident? There's no way. There's no way. It's so much more complicated than what you're capable of understanding that you just say, oh, I guess. No. There is no way to do it. No one on Earth could do this, okay? There was a Cambrian expansion, let's say about 550 million years ago. All of a sudden, all these fully formed phyla came out of nowhere. There's no significant transitional forms to explain them. Okay, nobody can explain them. They've been searching for over 100 years. They can't find transitional forms to explain the Cambrian expansion and into all these different phyla. Trilobites form a fully formed advanced eyes and these other body types. They came out of nowhere. Okay, punctuated equilibrium is just a nonsense. Everybody knows that's a joke. That's like saying God did it. Okay. And by the way, this implies not just a deistic God. A deistic God is one who first created the earth and then walked away and left it alone. A theistic God is one who created the earth and periodically gets involved again in some way. Okay, and it's called a theistic God because the earth was too hot at the time it was formed. There is a creation moment of the earth, a singularity moment, so to speak, the Big Bang, so to speak. But everything was too hot for a long time, so no life could be made on earth. God had to come back and create life. And it appears that he came back and he created first, bacterial life. Then he came back later and created the, large animals, fully formed animal body types. Okay, we see in individual species orphan genes. Orphan genes mean genes that are not related to genes from any other species. They just came out of nowhere. Those are called orphan genes. We also, then if you look closer at how life works. One of the things I did is I studied a lot of biochemistry. I was first in my medical class, 333 students, first in biochemistry, 99% scores and boards on biochemistry. I was one of the best, if not the best biochemistry student in the whole United States amongst medical students, okay? And I've been very interested in biochemistry ever since I was a little guy, like about 19 years old. And This stuff is like a miracle. The plasma membrane of a cell, every cell is like an electrical battery. The mitochondria is a nuclear power plant. It splits the hydrogen atom into its constituent electron and proton, okay? And it uses that to make electricity, which it converts into chemical energy through ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That's miraculous, okay? And you could have one cell with 100,000 mitochondria and many of these ATP synthase pumps in each mitochondria. And that ATP synthase pump is spinning 9,000 times a minute. That's incredible. And you got all the best synthetic chemists, nanotechnologists, chemist machines in the world. They couldn't make anything like that. Are you kidding me? Put, like 1 million of those in a little tiny cell. Are you kidding me? It's a miracle that this stuff exists. The human eye is the highest concentration of mitochondria. It's so complex, it's not even funny. The human brain, 100 billion neurons with 10 times as many supporting cells and trillions of connections. The level of complexity, it's beyond what we can grasp, but we can only say, this could not happen spontaneously. It's so much more complicated than anything humans have ever remotely done. It's orders and 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 orders of magnitude greater than anything the smartest human could ever do. And we know the things that the smartest humans have done took miraculous skill and ability. So how could something a bazillion times more complicated and sophisticated happen by chance? It can't. Okay, the clotting system, the flagella, the immune system, protein folding, it goes on and on. Okay. All right, so what's happening, and Jonathan Wells wrote a great book, it's called Zombie Science, and he says basically there's no argument between Christianity and science. The modern scientific method came from Christianity. But there is sort of an argument and a battle between atheism that pretends to be science, but it's really politics trying to dehumanize people to take away their rights. And that's why you get all these trolls whenever you talk about atheism. All these trolls pop up out of nowhere. I'll get a bunch of troll comments on this video because I'm teaching the pros the truth about how evolution's a joke. Okay. Jonathan Wells quote, "There never was a war between religion and empirical science, but there is a war between religion and materialistic science, atheism. And the battleground is evolution." Okay, that's why it's entrenched in the schools and taught as religious dogma, because they want to convince people that humans are worthless with no intrinsic value, that their life is meaningless, and they do not deserve any rights. They're just talking primates. Okay, and that is to degrade people, not to help them, not to teach them anything that's true or useful. The Miller-Urey experience and the origin of life experience are all a big joke. When you look back at it, you'll see they got nothing to do with origin of life. And you'll see that, I like Nick Lane. He's trying to do work. But Nick Lane, Dawkins, all these guys are funded by big money. And that's because they want them promoting atheism, all right? And they really are nowhere close to explaining things, all right? Darwin's phylogenetic tree, like to show the transition into humans, that's all just made up. There's no proof for any of that. Homology of limbs is much less reliable than was originally thought. They can be similar in origin, but they're not as analogous as people think from a DNA point of view. Haeckel's embryo, they were deliberately faked. Everybody knows about that. Archaeopteryx is not actually useful when you start looking at it closely to see the connections between, so-called connections between reptiles and modern birds. The pepper moths were all fake. The Piltdown man was fake. The so-called tree of primate evolution is fake. All this stuff was just fake, and they still keep it in the textbooks because they don't have anything. No one's ever seen evolution of one species into another. They're playing all these games because they don't have good evidence for it. It's kind of like paleo, keto, carnivore. They just have to talk nonsense and bravado because there's no science behind it, okay? And again, it's good explanation for microevolution, but no one cares about that. People care about macroevolution, the origin of life, and where did all these different body type phylos come from, okay? So anyways, there it is. Evolution is bogus, and you should know that because it's being used against you to take away your value as a human being.